Hello? Hello? Testing? Testing? Can you hear me? Is everybody here? This is a podcast made by people with disabilities for people with disabilities. I'm your host, Angie Keegan. Each episode, we are going to be bringing you content that matters to us, the disability community of Caboolture and the surrounding areas. We'll be talking to guests here and getting out into the community where we want you to tell us about what you want to hear about. Subscribe, like, and follow us on all the social media platforms and tell your mates. Welcome. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the Gubbi Gubbi lands on which this podcast is recorded. We pay our respects to the elders past and present and acknowledge the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to play within the community. Hello everyone and welcome to Is Everybody Here? Today I've got a very special guest and her name is Janine. And Janine, would you like to briefly give a visual description of yourself and how you would like to be addressed?
Hi, everyone. My name is Janine. I am a very tall. I am 5'11" and a half. Well, I was last time I measured myself, but it could be shrinking because I am starting to age. I am 46, but very tall, thin woman. Today I'm wearing some grey pants and fabulous Alice in Wonderland Ode to the Queen of Hearts, and it has "Off with your heads" written on it. And it is accompanied with some little bow earrings, some red bow earrings, and I occasionally pop on and off my glasses. Not occasionally, I do that a lot. So I do have bright pink glasses occasionally and short red hair.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janine. And I am a 48-year-old white woman with short brown hair, and I'm quite tall, but not quite that tall. 5'9" and 3/4 or 176 centimeters. And I'm wearing jeans today. I've got an orange jumper tied around my waist, and I have a black t-shirt on, which cunningly has the topic of today's show, which is Ability Fest on it. And on the back of it, it's got all the bands from Ability Fest. And today, Janine and I are going to talk about that, so which I'm excited for.
It's very exciting. I got the long sleeve one.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
So Ability Fest, should we give people a bit of a background on what that is?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it started a few years ago in Melbourne, and it was the brainchild of Dylan Alcott. Yay! and the Dylan Alcott Foundation. So he wanted to put together a music festival that was accessible to everyone. And just this year was the first year that it came to Meanjin, Brisbane. And Janine and I were fortunate enough to go. So that was really awesome. And we were actually just chatting with another friend of ours, Belinda, who's also been on the show. and we thought, oh, wow, because we were unpacking all of the accessibility and things that went really well and things that maybe could be just tweaked a little bit. And we thought, oh, yeah, we should actually talk about this on the podcast because this is really interesting. So, we think it's interesting. So, yeah. So what are your overall impression of Ability Fest?
Look, I'd say, to do a good old rating system, seriously, Dylan Alcott, just what a legend for just bringing this to Brisbane. So it's so exciting and so overdue. And I really hope that this kind of stuff becomes the footprint for all concerts. It's just brilliant to be so included and not have to worry about just the things that you don't realise taxes you so much as a person with disability that you're just not really thinking about. But actually, when you do go to a concert, it does take up a lot of space, and you don't kind of register that normally. And it wasn't until I was at that concert, I guess, and I didn't have to use my brain space in that capacity. So I was free just to enjoy. And I was like, I remember what it was like to be like normal prior to my MS diagnosis. I remember what life was like pre-disability, where I didn't have to plan these things. So, yeah, I really hope honestly, because I believe everyone should have room for improvement, I'm going to give it like 9.5 stars out of 10. I think it's amazing. Thoroughly recommend everyone should get along next year.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I've been talking it up to everyone. I just had the best time. And what Janine was just saying about, with the accessibility requirements met largely, and almost entirely, I think, for me. I mean, I have a physical disability as well, which has, some cognitive kind of fallout when you get fatigued and all of those sorts of things. But I really found, like Janine was saying, the fact that, like, they had pathways on this sort of grassed area. So there were these sort of plastic, what would you call them? They were kind of like I
feel like they're almost like those camping, when you go camping, but they were made out of plastic, so they were harder. Like almost like those mats that click together, but gigantic plastic ones.
Absolutely. So just being able to like cruise around, like wheel around on those, I felt very much freed up to just enjoy the day. Like I didn't have to be looking at the ground all the time for obstructions or challenges or things that I needed to get around.
Yeah, exactly. And I found that the crowd, even though there would be times where people would be just standing there trying to, I don't know if they were accessing stalls or they just kind of stopped and started talking, as I tend to do. But they were really aware. So I tended to find, like, as I was cruising along on my Alinker, I'd just like push off, and then I would see them, they'd be in the way, and I'd just say, oh, excuse me, and they would just move out of the way. Or half the time you wouldn't even have to say, excuse me, people would get off those maps straight away. So you had clear access, clear paths all the way, and it was just great.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, that was just one element of it, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Should we go like sort of through it or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's start pre-event.
Yeah, pre-event. Booking the tickets.
Booking the tickets. That's true. I forgot about that part.
Because I want to talk about that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't really have too many issues there. I was just more interested in clicking things, going, oh, I can click it so it's going to help me book this in various accessible things. So I probably should have taken more notice, but it was by the time I was kind of at that point of paying, because I can't remember how I heard that it was coming to Brisbane or where it came up, but I remember the second I saw that link, I clicked on it. I was like, I don't care what kind of money is in my bank account. I am going. End of story.
Me too. I did exactly the same thing. I was like, that's what credit cards are for. But actually, it wasn't really expensive.
No, it's so cheap.
It was $60.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about that. And then I didn't personally take use of the care options, but there were options there, so I'm not sure what the cost.
I actually did that bit, so I can talk about that. So I needed to have somebody come with me as a support, and so you had to put in the name of your support worker at the point of purchase, right? And I have a companion card. So I was getting the companion ticket, which was for free. However, as I think a lot of us know with support workers or supports,
they change.
They do change. So this created a bit of anxiety for me and a bit of stress and a bit of drama. So there was a change. My support worker had double booked. They went to Travis Scott. And anyway, so I was bringing somebody else, which was Anne. And but I had the name on the ticket already, which was my support worker. And then I needed to change that because when you bought the ticket, it said that they'd have to show their like ID or something at the gate. So I was like, oh no, because you have this immediate image of like a gate at a concert or a festival. It's like crowded and busy and crazy. Like it's not the environment to go, oh yeah, there's been this change and I had to change this and, can we just make this happen? So I was trying to get it all organised beforehand because being a person with disabilities, we have to always be planning ahead and thinking about these things, right? So I did the contact form on the website, got no response. This is like a bit over a week before. Yeah.
I had issues with their contact forms actually. Now you mentioned it, but mine was related to the transport getting in there.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I commented on their Facebook post, no response. So then I did the messenger message thing. Yeah. Clicked that on Facebook, and then I got response the day before. And I said, look, this is the situation. Oh, because I'd also tried to go through the company that actually sold the tickets to see if I could do that. And I didn't get anywhere with that either. So it was sort of the day before and I was thinking, oh, no, like it's going to be a drama. Yeah. What's going to happen? And I do catastrophize a little bit,
oh, no, I think everyone has been in your shoes and it really hasn't always had good outcomes.
No, that's it. So I was like, no, I really want to go. And I was even contemplating not going. Oh. And I just thought, it's just going to be painful. Anyway, so the day before I got a message from a lovely lady. She was awesome. And she said, look, don't worry about it. Just go to the box office when you get there and it'll all be great. She gave me some details. And anyway, so on the day, I was just sort of leaving it up to the gods at that point. I was like, okay, they've said it's going to be no stress. And, of course, I'm thinking about every event I've ever been to where they say, it's accessible, air quotes, and you just go, Anyway, but I thought, no, this is actually put on by somebody with disabilities. They've done it a few years. Surely they know. But I thought it would be in frequently asked questions or something because it must happen to more people than me, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, it sounds like I'm really going to go, no, this was terrible. But no, that was the hiccup, the end, full stop. So I went to the box office when I got there, with the person that was going to be my support person, and I just said to them, hey, I got this message on Facebook Messenger. They said, just come to the box office, show your companion card and your ID and your ticket on your phone. And so I did that, and they were like, yeah, that's all good. So it actually was a non-event, and I felt a little bit like I'd been a little bit melodramatic. But
see, I must have been so in the zone by the time I'd got to that section of the entry.
Yeah.
I cannot even recall seeing the box office. Can't recall. I know I just rolled down to the gates by then because my issues started prior to that with the transport. So I took the fabulous Alinker and I wanted to go in by train. Mm-hmm. So because you could easily get that onto the train. I don't live far from a train station, so it would have been very easy. Yeah. But then the transfer onto a bus, the buses would not, because I'd tried this coming and going from work around Milton before, and the buses would not let you on with your Alinker.
Oh,
and I thought, surely they're going to have some kind of specific disability bus or something where lots of people with, chairs and things would be going. If I got off, and did I get off at Roma Street or do you get off at Fortitude Valley for that? So I put in, like you, I contacted, I think I emailed first through that booking thing. Then I actually did message, but I just put it on the Facebook on a comment just asking, what is the best way of getting here with this, because otherwise I'm reliant in trying to find a cab that's able to take that. And you could imagine when we've got a festival, there's so many people obviously will be requiring that coming from longer distances, and I just literally want to get 5 minutes up the road. Mm-hmm. And I never heard back. So the night before, I decided that I would jump in and drive in. And I followed the the recommended car parking thing, which was the Cornerstone car park.
Oh, yep.
So I went there and parked in there, which was fine. By the time I actually drove in, it was very easy to find, and you parked there and it was fine. It cost $17 for the whole day though. So not horrendous, but still.
Yeah.
But I am still at a loss how you could possibly get out of the Cornerstone car park and actually get to Victoria Park without having to go up and across to the hospital and then further up a bit and then come back down. And then you have to go, then you're on the wrong side of that street anyway, and then you've got to get someone to assist you to cross again. So that for me was where the big issue was actually getting to the venue. But once I got through that first part and started rolling down with my Alinker, and I saw those gates and I saw the big pretty Brisbane sign and all out the front of Victoria Park, I heard the tunes pumping. I was in heaven. I was like, right. Just scooted right past the box office, obviously.
Yeah.
And scooted on in. And
Absolutely.
That's where the fun started.
Yeah. I was fortunate that I got a totally different support worker to drop me off. So she was heading into town for something else. She just dropped me off there. And then I met up with my person who was going to be my support at the venue. So there was a drop-off zone at the front, which was good. It was just like a lane, and they had people manning that. So that was well done. But to go through all of that drama that you went through, oh my goodness. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, so Janine and I both have A-Linkers, so which is really exciting.
It is.
Yeah, we
are starting a biker gang, and we are encouraging everyone to get A-Linkers and join.
Yes, please do it. Yep. It's going to be fun.
This is not sponsored by A-Linker.
No.
But it could be. Feel free. Throw cash this way.
Right? But that was the other thing I really liked about the festival, because, we were sort of there with our people, and that was that sense of yes. And everyone was just there having a great time. But usually when I'm out on the A-Linker, because it's not an assistive device that you see all the time, I feel like I'm sort of like this living, breathing infomercial for A-Linker. And I get off my A-Linker, I explain how it works, I demo how it folds up, all this sort of stuff. And I do it happily because I want more people to know about A-Linkers, because they're an assistive device for people who are ambulant, and they're not a passive device. So if that's where you're at with your disability, that might be the thing for you, rather than going to something that, say,
a walker.
Yeah, or is not using your muscles like a scooter or something, which, if that's the right assistive device for you, then that's fine, obviously. But if you want, if you need something a bit different, then this is another alternative, So that's why I like to do that. But it does take up a lot of time and a lot of energy. And once people see you hopping off your A-Linker and demoing this thing, you get a crowd, right? Don't you? Yeah. One of my support workers he actually said to me a while ago, he was like, when we go out with the A-Linker, we know we're with a celebrity, meaning my assistive device. And that's exactly right.
Yes. No, it was good at the festival, I think. Yeah. I did get a couple of remarks, but it was just thumbs up. Yeah. And it was when I did use a sensory room, and it was a little bit too big at that time because there was a power chair in there as well, and their support worker and a couple of mates and stuff were in there. And so I just folded it up and put it at the front. And yes, the volunteer at that point was just like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Clearly never seen one before. But generally, it was most people, oh, my God, if they hadn't seen it before, they were just thumbsing up. So I didn't feel the need to show anyone.
It was good, wasn't it? Yeah. A few people went, wow, that's cool. They'd not seen it or, but you weren't just using up your day to explain your assistive device. Yeah. And, you want to be helpful and stuff, but at the same time, you also want to just live your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I thought that was so good about the festival. Just
absolutely.
Yeah.
Two of the things like I want to quickly touch on is the volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
How was your experience?
I was really happy with them. I thought, gee, they vetted them well.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't see any sort of patronising or any sort of paternalistic sort of like, oh, look at you being all disabled. Like there was none of that.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't. They were actually really respectful and really great. And I totally, unlike I'd done a charity event, I think the week before, where the volunteers, absolutely lovely, well-meaning people, but there was that, oh, look at you go.
Cringe.
And so there was absolutely no. So, yes, they were brilliant with that. I really did think that they were great.
Yes.
The other thing is the sensory room. Now, I know from our chats that you didn't go into the sensory room.
I was repelled. No, you explain your experience, and then I'll tell you why I didn't even go in.
Well, our sensory room, so I went up there and, as I said, I wanted to see everything that was happening there because I was so excited that this was an inclusive festival and I wanted to test those limits. So I folded up, and I do, like, there are times where I can get overwhelmed when there's just too much happening, and I call it caving. I like to cave. And it's very apt for this, actually, in that what the sensory room was it wasn't much bigger than a sound booth. It was basically it wasn't even a gigantic, it was a small shipping container that did have soundproofing in there, and it did have earphones, and there were a couple of bean bags, and there was a nice little table to the corner. Which had two chairs, like more like a cafe kind of little table chair setup. And it was air conditioned and, dimly lit and all of that. So it was great to decompress, but it was nowhere near big enough if you had more than one wheelchair user, not even a heavy wheelchair. Like you couldn't have two wheelies in there. There's no way me and my Alinker and a wheelchair user could have been in there.
No.
Particularly when each person had like a sport worker or two.
Yeah.
So it was just... the space wasn't big enough for the job it was trying to do. What I will say is the second people left there, the very attentive volunteers would come in and they would sanitise. They would spray the headphones and all of that to make sure that they were all clean, give them a wipe down and all of that and sanitise it, which I was like, that's really good. Like, that was quite amazing. And the soundproofing was, you were aware there was music out there, but it wasn't really loud or anything. It was a good place to go and decompress. And I think... if you're the only one in there or there's only two of you, then that's a perfect space. But if it's required for the amount of people that were at those concerts, like even a few people to try and use that, it was a little bit short.
So maybe even the size would be okay, but if they had a couple of them? Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Because sometimes I think you need a smaller space because I think, this is just my opinion, if you have a bigger space, it kind of invites people to kind of group up and like just hang out.
Yeah.
Whereas yes, it is a hangout decompress zone, but you kind of don't want people just being in there being all like, hey,
This is true. They probably do need some kind of a sign or some kind of notice about or number system out the front so you know how many people are inside there before you walk in.
That's true.
Because I didn't know until I walked in that there was myself and there would have been about 5 other people were in there. Hang on. Yeah, there was 5 other people who had invisible. I don't know if they identified as having disabilities or not, but they were invisible if they did have them. And then there was the very visual, heavy set wheelchair user who was in that. So there was 7 of us in that room at that point, and it was was a lot. But they vacated not long after me coming in.
So even just having that information before you go in, the numbers,
because they all stop and stare at you too, which makes you feel even worse, and you're trying to work out what that space looks like and what you can use and where to go.
And if you're in a bit of a moment, you just need to just exit the situation to just go and chill. You don't need that.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it was delightful having the cool air and having a nice cool place on a hot day to cool down.
100%.
So.
Yeah. So just briefly, the reason everything was painted this sky blue, which was lovely, but it had this massive ANZ. It was just, ANZ just everywhere. Like, I get that sponsorship was everything was there because it was sponsored and stuff, but I think every other sponsor did it a little bit more tastefully.
A little bit quieter. Well, the ANZ did, I don't know if they were physically the main sponsor. They probably were of that chill zone. But they also had the second next to it. What was that called?
I don't. Oh, I've got the map.
You do.
Sorry,
have the map?
I do have the map here. Do you want to have a look?
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, everyone. I've got my. It's a very tattered kind of paper map that I got at the festival.
That is. So the whole thing there. It's just, which I don't think kind of corresponds with what was actually happening. They're calling it the ANZ sensory space.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, was it? Because there was an ANZ chill zone, which perhaps is what I've been calling it. And the other place, the small sound boothy container, that was the, So, but they were right next to each other.
Yeah.
And the ANZ, I think, I know because I went into the other part that was basically full of Hamptons camp chairs and things like that, and a very chill vibe and lots of umbrellas in that space. And they had a weird wooden deck thing that you could throw beanbags in through holes, which to me was... What happens after there? Do I have to pick up those beanbags? Because that's taking energy that I don't have. I don't want to be part
volunteers.
Of. But yes, there were volunteers there that could talk to, but I was like, I'll just sit down here in a comfy chair, thanks.
Absolutely. Well, everyone has different needs.
But yes, but it was very well signed. You were exactly right.
Yes, you couldn't miss it.
Now, do we want to go around?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got the map now.
Let's roll around. So... We're going to roll towards, hang on, I'm just going to see. Oh, there is a market store. Oh, that's right. Right next to that ANZ, the sensory space, was a certain market store that I know you took advantage of, but I did not.
Oh, the glitter booth.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, that was great. I mean, that's what you want at a festival, right? You want to just glam up and get blingy, right?
What was the name of it?
I don't know. I just called it the glitter booth.
No, it literally was the glam booth.
Oh, the glam booth. Yeah, awesome. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that was sponsored by, I think, Anytime Fitness or something. So, they did have the sponsor there, but not in a sort of awooga, kind of at you.
You're not going to miss it.
Yeah, that's it. They had 3 women doing the face paint glitter stuff. So
that was all eco glitter.
Yes, it was all eco glitter, absolutely. And excuse me, they had signs at sort of near the booth saying you could choose whether you wanted to have mild, moderate or extreme glitter. Obviously, I was sitting there going, extreme.
Excellent.
But where we were, we waited for an hour. And
there was the whole time there seemed to be big queues for that one.
And after we sort of we were almost to where we could get the glitter, we looked back at the queue and it was 3 times as long as when we joined it. And we thought, oh, my goodness.
Yes.
So that was, we thought, ooh. And maybe my suggestion for that, and I actually gave this in the feedback form that they sent, they sent a survey the next day, which I thought was great while it was all nice and fresh because they're very committed to continuous improvement, which I love. So they had the 3 people, but I think they were giving people too many choices. I think sometimes when you're just you can have whatever you want and you can have, glitter on your body and you can have it on both your cheeks and you can have it here and here and here. And I think people well, I don't know. I'm not in other people's heads, but I kind of got the sense that people were going, well, I've waited for an hour, so I'm just going to go for gold.
Get everything.
Yeah. So that really slowed it down. So when you finally got there, you were there for a while. So that's when I just said to them, hey, just chuck some gear on my cheek. I actually said one cheek, but she did both. And the lady was lovely. She was so nice. So it was really great. We actually found some of those, what do you call them? The Diamante things, the stick on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they got blown away out of the booth while we were waiting in the queue, and we picked them up off the ground. So we were like sticking them on each other.
Excellent.
So we were helping the process. Yeah. So my suggestion would be just to say to people, okay, you can have like one thing. Do you want like face paint, or if you want like a moon on your arm or whatever, but like choose,
Yeah.
and maybe if you want more, go and line up again.
Absolutely.
Just to keep it moving.
Now, next on our rolly trap here is the bathrooms.
We've got lots to say about that, don't we?
Do.
Yes. They had lots, didn't they?
They did, and
Yeah.
I went a couple of times. So,
Yeah.
and I could take the Alinker in.
Yeah.
I used that one of the big gigantic portaloo.
Yeah. Should we tell them what the selection of toilets were?
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
probably a good point.
Yeah, so there were just the single portaloos that everyone's familiar with, popular at festivals and building sites. And there were this kind of plasticed off, sort of partitioned off place with a sign that said urinals. And I think, yeah, whatever went on in there, I don't know.
I think it's like Vegas.
Yeah,
Let's leave it like that.
yeah. Anyway, and then they had these a bunch, maybe half a dozen of the. They were accessible portaloos, so they were, as Janine said,
Gigantic.
Yeah, they were really big. So you could go in and you could bring an A-linker, and an A-linker, for people who may not know, is roughly the same footprint as a power chair. So, and it's the same width and stuff. So if that gives you an idea of the space. So that was good, but it's probably more for people who are ambulance assistive device users or independent assistive device users, maybe. I don't know. So there was that. And then there were a few demountables that were full hoist, change table, that kind of stuff, toilets. And I just couldn't see. I saw two, but I got a sense there was another one behind there.
Yes, there was one behind. So I think there was three all up.
Which was great.
It was.
Yeah.
I was a little bit confused on how you'd actually access that, but I imagine there were security guards right near there all the time. So
Right.
I presume that they were the ones, because I actually, in the confusion, went naturally up and found the door was locked at the time, or it was pushed. Someone could have well been in there. I don't know, but it wasn't clear.
Right. Okay. Right. So we can both talk about the accessible bigger toilets, like the ones, the middle ones.
Yes.
Yes.
The thing, having gone a few times during the day, I think the biggest thing was, the last time I used it was around about 7 p.m. or something, and they were still clean.
Yes.
They were clean, and there was soap, and there was toilet paper.
Yes.
And, it was just, I found that delightful, having used various portaloos in my years.
Yes.
They are not like that after, usually even about 45 minutes after the gates open. That's it.
Yeah, especially when it's a licensed venue, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
We know what we're
they were
talking
still
about.
very, very usable.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Oh, me too. That was definitely a standout. I was like, yes. Because, I dread using public toilets anywhere.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but they were actually of a standard, I would say, of Sunshine Coast Council.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 stars.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yes.
Probably the downfall for those things with me was it took me quite a minute to find how to get the water
to
wash my hands.
It wasn't intuitive, was it?
It was not. And not particularly helpful in that it was a foot pump kind of situation
Yep.
down at your foot, which, suggests you had a lot of toe tapping energy.
And coordination and balance.
So it was a little bit. And the other thing I found, like, in dismounting the Alinker, there's not a lot to grab onto to stop you tumbling, really, in that space. Like, I mean, luckily, you know, I had thought and I'd put my Alinker in proper park, so I had that, so that wasn't moving. But, so when you really think about the dismounting, I was like, And then, so I managed to go to the bathroom, managed to flush that fine. But, the washing of the hands, it took a bit.
Absolutely. Well, my other thing, like, so my disability affects my peripheries as well as my balance and proprioception and stuff. But so my hands are not very strong, and pulling the door. So I don't know if like the portaloo was maybe not on exactly level ground or whatever, but I couldn't pull the door, and I also have problems with like two-step actions, if you like. So to pull the door and to slide the little like latch thing across, I found incredibly difficult. And to actually pull it enough, because you had to get like this little the slide
plastic thing.
You had to get that between two little metal rims on the door frame. Sorry if I'm not explaining this very well, but I'm trying. Anyway, and I couldn't do it. So if I had been on my own, the door, which opened out, would have just been flapping in the breeze. And so I had to call my friend, and I was out there going, and she came up and she was holding the door closed so I could pee in a bit of peace and privacy. So if I was on my own, I would have been in trouble.
See, I found the actual entering into the Alinker was the difficult part because I was on my own and because the way the door did open, it meant I either had to dismount prior to getting in to be able to pull that door to get around and up and over, or, you know, just forge my way through, which is what I managed to do. But I managed to lock the door, that's fine. But I found accessing the stall a little tricky.
I didn't have that bit because I'd already left my Alinker with Anne. So I think if I didn't have someone there, I would have been really struggling. But then I guess I could have called a volunteer as well, because they were everywhere.
They were everywhere.
And someone said to me, or was it when we were talking about it afterwards, I can't remember, that, I could have actually have let the volunteers know that I was having that problem with the door, just in case it was there wasn't something wrong with the door. And I just never even thought of it. So that was on me. Whoops. But anyway, so that was the toilets. Oh, and they also had this kind of like a washing hands station, which was outside, which I thought was pretty great.
Look, the hygiene across the whole entire place was amazing. Like the amount of hand sanitizing stations that you had, as well as actual washing hands. It was incredible. And I like also the sunscreen. Yes.
That was amazing. You're right.
So, yes.
Yeah. Should we describe that?
Yes, or you should, because you used it. I came very much I was expecting that I wouldn't have that, so I'd well and truly plastered myself. So I only saw it in passing.
Yeah, well, me too, but I was just fascinated. So, when in the full swing of COVID with the shopping centres, and they'd have those sanitizer dispensers where you'd hold your hands underneath and they would just spray the sanitizer into your hands. Like there was just a cutout in some sort of like a pedestal sort of situation. So,
like the order. So they remind me a bit of those Dyson air things, the big circle. Yeah, absolutely. So you put your hands in this sort of hole in this sorry, I'm using my hand so much on an audio thing. Yay. In the circle, in what we'll call the Dyson rim. Dyson if we're...
absolutely. Yes. And, and I should also take this moment to say, sorry, ANZ, please continue to sponsor. Ability Fest. I mean,
Yes.
it was good that they were there, but, I was
The staff that
yeah.
were looking after that particular thing
Yeah.
were very good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, back to the sunscreen. You just put your hands out and it sprays the sunscreen into your hands.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was really cool. So
So we were
Yeah,
well cleansed and we were sunscreened and all that. And the Cocoa
Bella, yeah.
Ah, so yes. And there were fabulous little drinks that were being...
Yeah, and they
could
weren't
get them.
little like samples or anything. They were like full-size bottles.
And there was lollies as well. Did you see those fun?
I've got some in my bag because they just kept handing them to us. I was like, yes, free lollies. Woohoo. Free's my favourite.
It really is. It's brilliant. There was 2 stages. So
Yes.
I went past initially when I came through. went past that DJ
Yeah.
stage where you could get right up the front if you really wanted with your the Alinker or any disability aid was quite easy with that one. And there was a big viewing deck there,
Yes. Yeah.
which seemed very accessible. But I think as you went around then, the other big standout that I really want to touch on is the amount of shade, the amount of shade cover that there was. There was accessible places to go and sit if you wanted. There were chairs everywhere and the shade was just incredible.
Yeah, there was this big sort of like marqueed area in the centre because the whole thing was like a big sort of circle. Yeah. And, so the marquees in the centre were great. And I liked that they had the chairs and the tables, but then they also had enough space for people just to, chill out with their own assistive devices or just sit on the grass if that was what they wanted or could do. And that was really nice. And you could just eat there. They had food trucks and,
And don't forget the silent disco.
Oh, yeah.
How good was that? Silent disco had everything that you'd expect in the silent disco, but it also had these vests that you would put on so that you could feel the beat and all of that. So I just thought that was amazing. And it didn't seem to be a downtime at all. Like while there wasn't really long lines like there was for the glam paint but it was just constant there and people just seemed to really love it. I didn't get a chance to actually try it, but I stood there and watched everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, that looked really cool. And then next to that was one of the bars.
Yes. Yeah. So there were a couple of bars scattered throughout there. And there was also a non-alcoholic bar. So you could speed up your drinking, of non-alcoholic things. You didn't have to race queues. Not that the queues were horrible in any of those things. There didn't seem to be
it was the
outrageous drunken behaviour.
Not at all.
There were people that were slightly merry, quite clearly.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, there was not rolling around drunk people everywhere, which was great.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, also one of my highlights is always whenever I get to see Mickey doing his Mikey's doing his sign language.
Yeah.
But all of the the AUSLAN people on stage were incredible.
They were
fabulous.
So good. Yeah.
I
think Mikey Bell after COVID, celebrity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
the woman who did King Stingray.
Oh, yes.
I want her name. We need to get her details.
Yes, we do. So how do we do that?
If you are listening to this or you know the AUSLAN person who did the King Stingray set, send her our way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was phenomenal.
She was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And, the bars were really civilised. I thought, I've never seen it, so great. And can I just say, on each of, the places where you would go to where there'd be, a service desk, like the bar or where you go to get the merchandise.
Yes.
There were PECs, picture exchange communication system sort of symbols on laminated, cards on the counter, and then
on the very accessible height counter.
Yes, exactly. And then if there was in the merch thing, they had the different merchandise on the back wall, like they do at everything. Yeah. And but then they had the actual like prices and stuff lined up with the chart that was on the counter.
Yes.
So that was really good with the prices and you could just point at those things or indicate. And I thought that was brilliant. Like these little details everywhere, I think just were exceptional.
Made it so much easier.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see a bit more of the different, like it seemed to be just a few of the bands, not all of them.
Yeah, true.
Would have loved to have seen a bit more band merch there, particularly, I mean, King Stingray. I'm an absolute groupie. Did not know them before Ability Fest. Like I'm ashamed to say, I actually hadn't listened to them.
Do you not listen to TripleJ?
Well, randomly, but I am such a radio flicker and flicking through podcasts and things like that. I just,
Yeah. They're awesome. They were sort of...
I don't know how I'd miss them after all this. I was like, oh, wow, how have I not heard this? But
right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was the main sort of thing. As soon as I saw that they were going to be on the lineup, like I was going to Ability Fest anyway because I wanted to go to an accessible venue and, event. But when I saw King Stingray there, I was like, I'm totally there.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what it was like to not have to worry about these things and to have, like, there was the gluten-free people were there, so you didn't have to worry if you had food allergies and stuff. There was stuff that was well and truly vegan. There was, full-on meat stuff. There was every food that you could possibly really want there.
Yeah, and the food trucks were really quality, weren't they?
Yes,
yeah,
they were really good.
It was such a good selection and it was really nice.
Yeah. And I just thought that, like, and it was just easy. Like the crowds and things were there. I thought they'd really thought, given that I don't know if they ever got to a point of sold out in Brisbane, but they were down to less than 100 tickets.
Yeah.
And based on that, like the footprint of people, the space was brilliant. You didn't feel overcrowded. Also, it didn't feel empty at the same time. It was just a great, mix the whole way through and thoroughly energy saving as well because of that.
For sure. I think, they really thought that out and they clearly did not put profit. Well, I mean, it was a not-for-profit event, but, I mean, it wasn't like, we could sell more tickets and jam more people in. There was none of that.
No.
This was about everybody who was there having a good time.
Well, it was affordable for people that are on the pensions and things like that. Absolutely affordable.
Yeah.
And to have so many quality musicians there at the same time was just amazing. And also we got to see those acts just before. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of them were just mulling in between the stages or the people. Or one of them even went off to the glam tent themselves.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so they
I
were
missed
all
that.
getting, they were enjoying the festival, participating in it, and it just, it had a really great vibe to it because of that. Like, none of them seemed, too good for us or pretentious or anything. There was none of that.
100%. And I liked that a lot of the acts had disabilities.
Yes.
Which was awesome. I mean, Eliza Hull was there. Yay! Big shout out to her. She and I have the same disability. So I'm like, awesome.
I can't think of what the highlight, although I think it really... Well, it could be the AUSLAN interpreter for King Stingray as she was signing the didgeridoo playing, and then and then the singing in language and stuff, and she was just phenomenal, and it made you feel really proud. You're like, oh my God.
Absolutely. It was so good, and like I loved all of the music. I thought that Middle Kids was great. They were fabulous. They were after King Stingray.
Yes.
Like they were all excellent. But I was really surprised there was like a church choir.
Yeah.
They went off.
I know. As they were playing, I think, as I was rolling down the hill initially.
Yeah. Like I'm not a big sort of like, church
it's not
choir.
The music that you think you're like, is it?
No, but it was awesome. It was so good. Everyone was dancing. Like that was awesome.
The energy was great. And the dancing from the fans were just, it was so joyful to have all those people, dancing away with various disabilities and things like that, and just seeing not just the joy on their faces, but also on some of the carers as well.
Yeah.
Thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I think everyone that was there was just having a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't even mention. So there was
the friendship bracelets.
right? I've got one.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you get one?
I didn't.
Like anyone that knows me for more than a second knows that I get craft anxiety in the worst way. Like I cannot do craft. I just can't do it. And I went to the tent sort of thinking, I wonder if I could just get one ready-made.
You see, if I knew that was an option, I probably would have. But I was the same. I was like, oh no, this is going to require me to do something about.
Yeah, but like we were sort of there, and I think maybe we were like the first there, or maybe one of the first. I don't know. It was early in the day because we got there just before 12.
Yeah.
And I was all keen to do like all 10 hours.
Yes.
Did not make it. I got to 7:30 or something.
Well, it got a bit cold. That was more Brisbane's fault than the festival's fault. Like, I feel like that changed. Oh, and that brings me to next year.
Yes.
The lockers.
Yes.
See, had I known that there were
Yes.
lockers that were that substantial and big, I definitely would have brought a cardi or a jumper or something. Because had I had that, I too would have lasted. But Brisbane being Brisbane decided to put on a very icy cold change.
Mm-hmm.
And that I ended up going, no, my joints are going to hate me if I stay for too long. So I ran away.
Yeah.
But look, let's not feel too bad because there were people running around doing the nutty thing on the bridge later on that night, and there's pouring icy cold rain. So
that's
I feel
true.
like we've done well.
Absolutely. The lockers, that is something to mention because I think if we'd known, absolutely.
It would have a total game changer.
Absolutely.
So you don't need to worry about your sunscreen. You don't need to worry about staying hydrated because there's things. You don't need to worry about your food because there's something there for you. But you do need to think of a jumper.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
And you could literally be there, I think, and have a really good time and not spend $1.
You could. You could have got away with it just for the price alone.
Absolutely. I think there wouldn't have been any problems with you bringing a sandwich.
Oh, absolutely not.
And it was really
I'm quite sure that I actually did bring in some kind of I don't know, lollies or something in with me in my bag.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I definitely brought in my own sealed bottle of water, not knowing.
No, I had my big chunky drink bottle. Like there was none of that. No, you can't have that.
No,
it was fine.
Yeah. Not that you needed it because Cocobella was everywhere.
Yes. And they certainly weren't like, no, you've had one already.
Yes.
No, they were like, here, have more. Have more. It was awesome. It was so good. So I made the friendship bracelet and I'm quite proud of myself. It says happy go lucky on it.
Oh, cute.
With a rainbow and a little shroom and stuff. So I was pretty happy about that.
Yes.
So like some of the beads are all back to front and whatever. So
I like it. But, I like it. It's nice and colourful.
Yeah, I feel I did well, for someone that's like not crafty. But that was a donation. So you could just give whatever donation you wanted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they did that with a lot of things.
Yeah, well, it was a donation to the sensory space, the chill zone.
Yeah, right. Okay. But I don't think if you couldn't make a donation, I don't think they were going to like string you up or anything.
No, absolutely not.
Because there was something that they said, oh, do you want to make a donation? And I'd already donated like $10 to something. I said no. And they were like, no, that's cool. There was not a thing. Anyway, and I think we were talking about the merch. Like it would have been good if there was
I feel like you've either got to go two ways there. You either just go only the Ability Fest stuff. So there was the short sleeve shirt, which you've got on. There was a long sleeve quick dry thing that didn't have the bands listed on the back though.
Okay.
And there was a hoodie that was the Ability Fest, and they also had the bucket hat.
Yeah.
And
a tote bag. That's
right. And then it started to get then there was band merch, but it wasn't all the bands. It was only 2 or 3 that had some stuff there.
Yeah.
And weirdly some purple Peter Alexander socks.
Oh.
I don't know if they had anything else on it. I just found that the strangest thing there.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah, there was a purple Alexander socks, and I don't like the Peter Alexander. I don't know why.
Yeah,
They had them.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like you either go more ability, because I found that was the one thing there was that perhaps, like, and it's such high quality stuff, the ability vest merch, like the shirts and things. And perhaps that added to the price because, you know, not that was super expensive, but it probably was about $10, $20 more than what I'm used to paying at concerts.
Yeah.
However, it's clearly made better too.
Yeah.
And is very appropriate because they're made out of that quick dry material stuff.
And there's no like tags.
No tags and all that.
Yeah.
So, ready to roll kind of stuff. But
they should have had maybe a cheaper thing, I think, like a less expensive thing, I should say.
I was a bit surprised there was no singlets, like actual singlets there, because I'm a big fan of buying a singlet.
Badges.
Badges or lanyards.
Yes,
those kinds of things. I just felt like there could have been, like, there was no $15 option for the ability vests or $10 option to mark the occasion.
Yeah, because you want to have something to like take away, but maybe not $50. That might be out of your range.
That's right. Yeah. And then the other thing there was the bands, because there was only a couple, but there wasn't all of them.
Yeah, and that was a shame.
Yeah, yeah. Particularly, I mean, you know,
you would have got a King Stingray
absolutely.
T-shirt.
I would have. I feel like half the people were just coming out non-stop behind me, just going, "Have you got King Stingray? Have you got King Stingray?" So I reckon that was one of the most asked for stuff. Yes, they did have, I can't even think of the various other, but there was about 3 different bands that they had there of their merch and the weird purple Peter Alexander
I want to
socks.
know about that now. I'm sad I missed it. Oh, anyway.
Maybe that was the $15 option.
Maybe.
I too missed it.
Oh, what else? I'm just looking at our little map here. So we've got... I don't know.
I think we kind of did wander around.
Yeah, I think we did. There was a golf cart that was cruising around.
There was.
That was sort of shuttling
people. Oh, we forgot about, there was also another very inclusive viewing platform
at the
main stage.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was really great.
Yeah, so both of the music stages had very big, very well covered. There was a lot of shade on them, really accessible.
You know what else? Sorry, this is really cool because my mobile phone was dying. It was on its last legs, and I was like, no, because you had
to take photos.
Yeah, that's right. And I had to ring and get picked up and stuff. And anyway, they've got a charging station at the back with like fast charging, and it was sort of in the back corner.
Oh, near the first stage.
Yeah,
and all of that.
Yes. And they were so nice. Like, all the staff, all the volunteers were brilliant. They were so good. So they were happy to take my mobile phone. I actually took a moment to just go and lie on the grass and recharge. Yeah. And I was near the DJ stage, so I really liked that. I'm a bit weird, but I like the...
Fair. No sensory for you.
No, I go the other way. Yeah. Anyway, so I enjoyed that, and that was really nice. I just went and just lay on the grass, just got a bit recharged, and went, right, I'm off. Let's go again, sort of thing. And they were handing out like red frogs.
Oh, nice.
Lollies. So I was like, yes. Anyway. So that was really good too. Yeah. And the sunflower lanyard situation was everywhere. Like, they were very conscious of people with invisible disabilities. Yeah. They actually were distributing or selling, I'm not quite sure, but they had some sort of like means of giving people the the sunflower lanyards. Oh. Yeah, so if you didn't have one. Yeah. Oh. I've got one on my phone.
I see.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, when I'm not tripping over my own feet or slurring all my words and stuff, you may miss that I'm disabled.
Yeah. People often miss that with me too.
Yeah, right.
I start throwing myself directly at them.
Right, exactly. Should we tell people about who was there? I guess they can look that up.
Well, we probably should.
Yeah, okay.
How do we want to do that?
I don't know.
Okay. So I will read first. So it kicked off with the TripleJ winner, which was It also has changeovers.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Okay. So is the changeovers just the person? I don't know. Jordz, it starts off with. I'm not entirely sure what that means.
I don't know.
But yes, the TripleJ winner was a band called Stocker, and then Eliza Hull, your
Yes.
favourite. She kicked off. Then we had Asha Jeffries, Eves Caritas. I can't even read that one. I need the other glasses. We'll throw. Oh, that's his choir. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That is the Sanjay G Disc Faith Choir.
Yeah, they were awesome.
I did hear them as I came down. And then we had Kitty Alexander. She had quite a vibe.
Yeah.
Fabulous outfit too. I did like her outfit.
Yeah.
Then the Welcome to Country.
Yeah.
King Stingray. Middle Kids. Cub Sport. And Ocean Alley. And they closed off with James.
That's brilliant. And then there was the DJ stage.
Oh, then over on the DJ.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's going to be a few there that have names there is no way I can pronounce. So I'm going to throw that over to you.
Okay. Is it Sheck? I don't know. Sorry, everyone. Oh, yeah, no. Look it up.
Jump online. DJs, you've gone too far.
I actually went through the lineup before the concert just to familiarise myself with a few people. And Boone was cool. Yeah. I really particularly liked Boone and Dewbs. Yeah. Look, I don't want to sort of pick too many out there because I didn't get through the whole list. And, like, honestly, everyone that was there because they were brilliant. They were really, really good. There was something there for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
When we were just talking about the Sunshine and Disco Faith Club, I was there, this is just a little aside, with my friend, and we were just enjoying that because it was amazing. You know, we were just dancing and yay, you know, boogieing along. And this photographer came up to me and he's like, oh, could you just come up here and just like roll back this way so I can get a shot? And I was like, what? And honestly, if I'd really thought it through, I should have said, no, sorry, I'm here with my friend. I'm just enjoying things. So he just wanted me to sort of fill his like his design brief or whatever he had for the day. He needed someone to wheel down the path at him and film it. And I was like, what? And I actually found that a few times with the photographers. Like, I didn't feel othered or like, hey, you disabled person by anybody else. But the photographers I felt were really kind of intrusive and a bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is interesting because I didn't have that experience.
Yeah, okay.
But in saying that, the only time a photographer came up to me was when I was with you and they got that shot of the three of us. And it was a bit ridiculous at that point. But I felt like it was a bit of a catwalk photography session for him. He really went to work, but I was like, okay, whatever. But it hadn't been happening to me for the rest of the day, and it didn't happen post that. So I don't know if I give off an angry do not come near me vibe, or what it is, and you're more approachable. But yes.
I don't know. There was a guy that came up to me and he said, oh, look, how are you going? How's the festival? He had like a camera crew sort of thing with him, like a cameraman, and he was, there with the microphone and he was interviewing people. And I said, oh, this is amazing. This is such a great festival. I'm really enjoying it. He said, do you mind if we interview you? And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Because he asked. It wasn't like I just want to interrupt you doing what you're doing. He was quite respectful and stuff. So that was really good. He said he was there representing some of the bands or something. He did say his name, but I can't remember. Yeah. Sorry. If you're listening, sorry. I just said to him, look, this festival is accessibility done right.
It is.
Yes, we have really sort of like unpacked a bunch of stuff here today during the show. And I certainly don't want to give you the impression that it's a criticism because I hope that everyone realizes that we were blown away. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think, with everything, it's good to reflect and to see, like, how could things be done in a different way or a better way for next time for everybody.
Absolutely. I hope that this becomes the footprint that's used in normal concerts.
Absolutely.
And it just becomes a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And, the Dylan Alcott Ability Fest just goes to bigger and bigger heights and continues to just smash barriers. Like this is...
Agreed. I think it showed the world what it
can be.
What it can be and what it should be, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
And next year I'm definitely coming. I'm bringing a cardie and I am using those lockers.
Absolutely. Oh, and I got a selfie with Dylan Alcott because I thought I'm going to email him and say, hey, dude, do you want to be on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
Oh, just such a legend. Such a legend.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
I didn't win the Kia car, though.
Oh,
no, I didn't win it. Did you win it?
No.
No.
Do we know who did?
I don't know who did. I presume it's been drawn by now.
Oh, yeah, probably.
But yeah. But I mean, also kind of cool. How often do you get to go to a concert and they get giving away a car? Yeah.
I feel like I missed that.
Congratulations. Yeah, it was in your ticket, just for buying a ticket. You went into the draw.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from whoever won it.
I know, right? That would be cool.
That would be cool. Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming today. I've really enjoyed it. Yay! And we really had such a great time at the festival, and we're definitely going next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.